Muralidharan, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Government of India. Her Excellency Ms. Retno LP Marsudi, Foreign Minister of Indonesia. Her Excellency Dr. Nomvuyo N. Nokwe, Secretary General IORA. Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and privilege to welcome all of you to this Ministerial Keynote session, which is the valedictory session for the 6th Indian Ocean Dialogue and the inaugural session of the Delhi Dialogue 11. For the first time, both these Track 1.5 dialogues, key elements of the Indian Ocean Rim Association and the India-ASEAN calendars respectively, are being held consecutively and on similar Indo-Pacific themes. Now, I please request His Excellency Shri V. Muralidharan, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Government of India, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Your Excellency Retno Marsudi, Foreign Minister of the Republic of Indonesia, Your Excellency Dr. Nomvuyo Nokwe, Secretary General of IORA, distinguished Deputy Ministers and Permanent Secretaries, other distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskaram to all of you. I am delighted to offer a few words of welcome at this ministerial meeting, which appropriately enough links the conclusion of the Indian Ocean Dialogue with the start of the Delhi Dialogue. It's a pleasure to welcome all the distinguished friends, scholars and thought leaders to New Delhi in this winter season. And I am grateful to the Indian Council for World Affairs and the Research and Information System for Developing Countries for their efforts, support and hard work to put together an ambitious set of events here in New Delhi. As the Indo-Pacific concept and its essential attributes of openness, freedom, inclusion, rules-based architecture, and equality of all nations develop momentum, it's most timely that nations from the IORA family and our ASEAN partners gather here to discuss the consequential issues that this important concept offers us. I say this timely because in recent years there has been a steady trend in which nations have recognized that there is compelling logic and increasingly a certain inevitability about the Indo-Pacific concept. Our friends in ASEAN recently set out their own outlook on the Indo-Pacific, and many of the nations in this geography have also set out their own approaches to this concept. Our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has already set out India's vision and approach to the Indo-Pacific in his address to the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore in 2018 and to his counterparts at the 14th East Asia Summit in Bangkok in November this year. Taking all of these factors into account, therefore, it could be said that we are attempting something new in setting out a broader canvas to discuss the Indo-Pacific, and by hosting both our Indian Ocean and Delhi dialogues back to back. As the theme of the Indian Ocean Dialogue suggests, there is perhaps a sense of an expanded geography to this event. However, if we were to look back through history, it would be evident that the notion of a shared maritime space is not new to any of us. Over the centuries of recorded history, the nations of this shared Indo-Pacific maritime region have traded goods, ideas, and services with each other. Not only have we left an imprint on each other through food, language, and philosophy, our quest to develop connectivity between us, have also been a driver of science, technology, and innovation. Indeed, we could reasonably argue that the artificial separation of this region during the Cold War has now declined as a bipolar era of hostility has receded. This has allowed the seamlessness of the maritime domain to reassert itself. Ladies and gentlemen and excellencies, since your presence here underlines eloquently your interest in an Indo-Pacific that promotes tangible and mutually beneficial cooperation, open to all, it seems to me that these dialogues should deliver recommendations and new ideas to make our partnership more relevant to our citizens. We can achieve this objective when we ensure that we prioritize action-oriented cooperation and meaningful programs. I am hopeful, therefore, that your discussions earlier today at the Indian-Ocean Dialogue and during the Delhi Dialogue tomorrow will yield a rich harvest of ideas, plans, and visions for the betterment of our region. Once again, I thank each and every one of you for your presence in New Delhi today. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Excellency. May I now please request Her Excellency Dr. Nokwe, Secretary General, Indian Ocean Rim Association, to please address the gathering.
Your Excellency, Ms. Retno Marsudi, Foreign Minister of Indonesia, His Excellency Shri Murugadran, Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, Government of India, Ambassador Mohan Kumar, Chairman of RIS. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and I welcome you to this final flagship session of our IORA flagship events for the year, the Indian Ocean Dialogue. I'd like to thank the Government of India for its excellent arrangements in hosting us here today. I would also like to thank India for taking the initiative to bring IORA together with our counterparts with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. On the 23rd June 2019, ASEAN adopted the Asian Outlook on the Indo-Pacific at the Asian Senior Officials Meeting held in Bangkok, Thailand. The Asian Outlook on the Indo-Pacific suggests exploring potential synergies with sub-regional frameworks such as IORA, BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multisectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. In terms of population and data, 2018, Indo-Pacific regional grouping, if it is to become a reality in the near future, will cover over 64% of the total population of the world. The share of APEC is about 38%, and IORA's share is about over 30%. Southeast Asian Regional Cooperation, SAC, is about a little bit over 24%, and ASEAN is only 8.5%. In terms of its share in world GDP, it accounts to over 70%. APEC is about 59%, and IORA is about 10%. Similarly, in terms of share in world exports, it accounts to about 59%, APEC about 45%, IORA about a little bit over 11%. In terms of a share in world imports, Indo-Pacific accounts to about 60%, APEC about 45%, IORA about 11%. Therefore, it is in many ways IORA looks to ASEAN. We're learning lessons of regional cooperation from its examples. And it is therefore ASEAN is centrally stable and it's got prosperity in the Southeast Asia and IORA is promoting those same goals across the Indian Ocean. Taking a wider view, the excellent dialogue that has taken place today has confirmed the opportunities and responsibilities before to pursue those same goals across the broader Indo-Pacific region together. IORA's 22 member states and 10 dialogue partners are a critical mass in the Indian Ocean region, and of course, each has their own view on what the Indo-Pacific means to their communities. Coming together as a collective, IORA's guiding principles and objectives have underpinned the progress we have made in promoting regional cooperation in the Indian Ocean region. And they will guide us as we lift our gaze and collaborate with ASEAN and others across the entire Indo-Pacific region. So therefore, permit me to touch three of the most important of IORA's guiding principles set out in the IORA Charter and how they apply in the Indo-Pacific context. First, we are inclusive. Everything we do includes all member states and dialogue partners to the greatest extent. We take decisions by consensus. Commentators are right to observe what this slows us down from time to time, but they often miss the value of inclusive decision-making, and that reflects strong, united position of all member states. And they miss the value of the members engaging on the same terms and with the same rights, regardless of their size, location, wealth, or other factors such as their connectiveness to international supply chains. Likewise, the Indo-Pacific is an inclusive concept. The Indo-Pacific was responsible for more than 2/3 of the global growth over the last 10 years, and those opportunities are available to all. The drivers of this growth include resources, energy exports, many of which flow from the eastern seaboard of Africa, the Gulf right through to the Southeast Asia to Americas, that is right across the Indo-Pacific, including economies particularly smaller, lesser developed countries in these supply chains is important to sharing the benefits of economic growth in an equitable, sustainable way. Second, we're based in a principle of sovereign equality. Our members of the dialogue partners all respect each other, territorial integrity, and political independence. Our cooperation is premised upon peaceful coexistence. Our decisions are made without prejudice to the rights of each country to conduct its own affairs in the manner if it sees fit. For example, membership of IORA does not preclude member states signing up to economic trade agreements outside our association. Right across the Indo-Pacific, we see these principles being upheld and championed across by our ASEAN colleagues. Like ASEAN, IORA has a role to play in upholding the rules of state-based international system, and within that system, encourage respect for each country's roles and responsibilities. This brings me to the third guiding principle within IORA, peaceful cooperation. Cooperation within IORA seeks to maximize mutual benefit and avoid issues that may cause controversy. IORA is not a forum where bilateral disputes come to resolution or where one country can go it alone in pursuing narrowly focused initiatives. The very reason we exist as an association is to work together for the prosperity and the stability of the Indian Ocean region, in line with the vision of our leaders outlined in the Jakarta Concord 2017. It was our founding father, Nelson Mandela, who recognized that peaceful, social, and economic cooperation naturally and logically flows from the facts of the shared history and geography of the Indian Ocean region. Likewise, ASEAN, APEC, the Indian Ocean Commission, Pacific Islands Forum, and others are all striving to improve peaceful cooperation for the benefit of the member states across the Indo-Pacific. Indeed, these organizations have a collective responsibility to shape the Indo-Pacific to promote the respectful cooperative behaviors we want to see that improve the security and living standards of our communities. And I believe that these organizations can better support each other in meeting these responsibilities. Why are we promoting issues such as trade, blue economy, or maritime security in isolation, when by their way, nature, these are international public goods shared right across the Indo-Pacific. Should we not be sharing lessons on empowering women, managing fisheries, and mitigating disasters at a regional level? Ladies and gentlemen, cooperation and collaboration are key maximizing the opportunities and meeting the challenges that our member states share across the Indo-Pacific. I hope to see more dialogue and high-level joint sessions such as this, so that IORA, ASEAN, and other regional organizations can exchange lessons and perspectives more frequently right across the Indo-Pacific. I also hope to see practical interaction between our association at the sectoral level. We don't want to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the effective regional cooperation. The UAE has taken the chairship of IORA in November 2019 under their theme, Promoting Shared Destiny and the Path to Prosperity in the Indian Ocean, which speaks aptly to the common shared vision of peace and prosperity for our people in the Indian Ocean region. Today, IORA stands ready to play its part and to work together and with others promoting prosperous and stable Indo-Pacific, one that is inclusive, based on sovereign equality and peaceful cooperation. I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. May I please invite Her Excellency Ms. Retno LP Marsudi, Foreign Minister of Indonesia, to deliver her remarks.
Hope you can see me. Minister of State Murali Dharan, Secretary General of IORA, Dr. Kumar, ambassadors, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We all witness the increasing rivalries between major powers, increasing trend of protectionism, decreasing trust on multilateralism, and the continuation of wars and conflict. And who will be at the brunt of this impact should the trend continue? Mahatma Gandhi once said, "An eye for eye leaves the whole world blind." Wise word from a very wise man. And of course, by the way, congratulations on the 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi this year. Colleagues, in wars and conflict, no one will benefit. President of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, before the meeting of IMF and World Bank in Bali, October last year, posed a question. Is it not the right time to compete against each other? Or is it not the right time to cooperate and collaborate? My president is worried that we are all so busy competing and attacking each other and forget we are all facing a bigger and larger threat to humanity, that is instability and poverty. My president's words forced me to work harder together with my ASEAN colleagues to ensure that peace and security that thrives in Southeast Asia region could also be enjoyed in the Indo-Pacific region, and to present an Indo-Pacific concept that could contribute to bringing peace and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. The ASEAN Outlook on Indo-Pacific was adopted by ASEAN leaders in June 2019. The Outlook reiterated that cooperation must be promoted, not rivalry. The outlook also emphasized that inclusivity, transparency, and openness must be bolstered, and international law must be respected. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, India and ASEAN have stood united for centuries due to our shared ocean. For India, for ASEAN, and for Indo-Pacific region, the ocean, the sea, straits, and bays are our future. More than 90% of the global trade volume are conducted through the ocean. More than 40% of the global trade value pass through the ocean. 61% of the world crude oil production is distributed through the ocean. The world maritime resources is valued at around 24 trillion US dollar. Almost half of the world population, or around 3.2 billion people, live within a 100-kilometer radius from the sea. In short, the ocean is our future. The ocean is our common prosperity. We have no option but to ensure that the sea unites and not divide. We must also ensure that our ocean becomes a source of cooperation, not source of conflicts. Therefore, the promotion of maritime cooperation for ASEAN and India in the Indo-Pacific region is not an option. It is a necessity. Moreover, as the Indo-Pacific region faces both traditional security challenges and rising non-traditional security challenges, ASEAN and India also share the responsibility to ensure maritime safety and security in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN and India must also work to enhance maritime economic cooperation in Indo-Pacific region. ASEAN and India have experienced positive growth above the global economic growth. We have become one of the center of economic growth in the Indo-Pacific region. To ensure that we continue this positive trend in the midst of rising trend of protectionism, ASEAN and India economy should continue to uphold an open and inclusive strategic outlook. ASEAN and India partnership should remain committed to promote a win-win and not a zero-sum paradigm. The conclusion of RCEP will send a powerful signal to the world that ASEAN and India remain committed to an open, free and fair multilateral trading system. The implementation of concrete projects between ASEAN and India will strengthen our economic cooperation. An important area of cooperation that should be further explored is maritime infrastructure and connectivity. It will allow cargo ship and shipment to pass through our region, boosting more robust trade and investment. Last year, Indonesia and India began its collaboration in this area through Aceh and Andaman Nicobar project. And considering the importance of the implementation of ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific and the importance of cooperation on infrastructure and connectivity, at the ASEAN-India Summit last month, President Joko Widodo announced that Indonesia will organize the Indo-Pacific Infrastructure and Connectivity Forum in 2020. India participation, government as well as private enterprises are very much welcome. India has also enhanced cooperation with other ASEAN countries on the connectivity and infrastructure sector. Now, one thing that requires our attention is that the many connectivity plans in the Indo-Pacific also raise concern for space, resources, influence, and result. Therefore, synergy is key. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, both India and ASEAN have common concern and interest in our shared ocean. I think the Secretary General of IORA also mentioned about it. We share the same vision to maintain peace, stability, and prosperity as reflected in the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific and India's security and growth for all in the region. Moving forward, we need to strengthen cooperation in better aligning the two concepts based on mutual values and mutual areas of cooperation. We need to use the outlook as a guide to better contribute to the maintenance of peace, stability, freedom, and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we must work together in facing challenges in the Indo-Pacific and to bring our relation further. The challenge now is how we can implement the vision into concrete action and project. And to conclude, I hope the dialogue tomorrow can produce concrete recommendations for advancing our partnership. Thank you, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Excellency. May I please request Ambassador Dr. Mohan Kumar, Chairman, Research and Information System for Developing Countries, to propose a vote of thanks.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks. I feel somewhat entitled to do it because not only am I Chairman of RIS, I'm also a former employee of the Ministry of External Affairs. And since this is a conference organized by RIS and the Ministry of External Affairs, it's my pleasure to really do this job. I want to thank the Honorable Minister from Indonesia for taking time out, but I thought she laid out some principles which are absolutely valid, and we will try to follow it in tomorrow's discussions. Thank you very much, sir, the Honorable Minister of State for External Affairs, for outlining India's point of view, and there will be enough speakers tomorrow who will pick up on that. The Secretary General of IORA is a friend of RIS as well, so I'm really happy to see her here. I just wanted to say that there are two individuals in particular I'd like to thank, if you don't mind. One is my colleague from the External Affairs Ministry, Ambassador Vikram Doraiswami, who I thought worked a lot in putting this conference together. And from the RIS, we have a team led by Prabir Dey, the ASEAN India Center, which has also worked a lot in putting this Delhi dialogue together. I did want to thank a lot of the panelists and the speakers who will be doing it tomorrow, and there will be no other vote of thanks. So I really want to reach out and appreciate those who have come from far, the United States, Australia, and several other countries, not just ASEAN and the region. Last year's Delhi Dialogue, organized by the RIS and Ministry of External Affairs, dwelt on maritime cooperation between India and ASEAN. We thought we should go one step further, and by doing Indo-Pacific, we thought we would like to flesh out the details. Tomorrow we have some excellent panels, and I just wanted to briefly mention that we will have Indo-Pacific, of course, but all the notion or the definition of Indo-Pacific, but we also have interesting panels on connectivity, the Industrial Revolution 4.0 implications for Indo-Pacific, and the multilateral trading system. So I would request all of you to also attend those interesting panels. But once again, thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Excellency. I now request the dignitaries on stage to please release the 10th Delhi Dialogue proceedings. Thank you, Excellency. This brings the sessions for this day to a close. I request everyone in the audience to please remain seated while the ministers leave the hall. The second plenary session of the Delhi Dialogue 11 commences at 9:30 tomorrow morning in this hall.